It's so nautical.
It's so nautical in your background. Welcome to season 3 of Outstanding Women Leaders, Witty and Wise Conversations. I'm your host, Katie L. Leeds, leadership and relationship coach by day, comedian and writer by night. I'm on a mission to host 100 million witty and wise conversations that disrupt the way leaders think and the way the world lives in relationship to each other. And if you are living in America right now, you know that we need this more than ever. It's time to start connecting our left and right brain to our loving hearts and begin listening to what they have to say. The brain will want to continue on the path previously traveled. It feels safe there. The heart sometimes barely has a path to follow, allowing passion and purpose to dictate the way. Get ready to disrupt business as usual in your brain and get ready to start following your heart. Listen, it's calling for you. My heart is always calling for me to dance in conversation, to feel the rhythm and vibrations, the ebb and flow as we exchange energies, wit, and wisdom. My brain is interjecting really quickly to invite you to check out outprofessionalcoaching.com/podcast for more episodes and to head over to Apple Podcasts or Podbean and write us a quick review. Or you can find me on the gram and FB at Owl Professional Coaching or Outstanding Women Leaders. We have 4 rules today to guide our wit and wisdom exchange. These rules are inspired by the CoActive Training Institute, where our guest today and myself both attended, and they help create space for powerful connection and authenticity. Rule number 1, nobody gets to be wrong. Rule number 2, nobody gets to be right. Rule number 3, everybody gets to be vulnerable. And rule number 4, everything is included. Right now, our guest is on a boat, so if we lose connection, it's fine. It's staying in the podcast. I will provide the comedy while we wait for her to get back. We do not edit here. This conversation is exactly what it needs to be in this moment in time. We've asked our guests to join us via video to allow us to create authentic connection. Eyes are the window to the soul. You will be seen here. You will be heard. There is space for you. When this conversation comes to a close, I will ask our guests 3 questions. If you've tuned in before, you know what they are. If you haven't, you don't want to miss them. Enough about us. Let's talk about Sofia Whitehead. Welcome. Super excited to have you here today. Sofia grew up in Nassau, Bahamas. Did I say that right?
Nassau,
Bahamas. Her father is Bohemian, Austrian parents, and her mother is from Uruguay. She went to school in Austria at 14 years old, then attended high school in Uruguay, college in New York City, and finally finished her bachelor's in business and marketing in Montevideo, Uruguay. Sofia returned home in 2015 and currently works in family business. Well, not anymore. This is a little bit older because now she's on a boat. We'll get to that shortly. She loves photography. Her father took a lot of photos his whole life and documented all the important moments in their family. She got her first camera when she was 8, often borrowed her older sister's camera, and has always been the person at the party that took pictures of her friends. Sofia completed various short photography courses in New York City, Montevideo, and Vienna, but believes that experimentation and self-expression is the most important part of photography. She also loves yoga, art, and people, and hopes that through her photography, people can get closer to their own humanity and soul. Project Bahama Mama was a 2-year-long journey, which is her book, began in November of 2015. This coffee table book shines a light on the more authentic Bahamas through the portraits and wisdom from the mothers that hold the country together. This project took Sofia through the majority of the islands of the Bahamas, a journey that she stated she needed to make. It has made her love the people of her country all the more and want to show the rest of the world just how amazing it is. So much so that she's taken up the boat life and is about to embark on a voyage to finish her 2nd book on the wisdom of Bahamian men. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that you're now going to travel the islands from afar on the boat, where last time you were traveling by land, I imagine, maybe a little bit of sea to get to them. So enough about you. Let's actually talk with you, Sofia. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super pumped to hear about all the wisdom from the mamas and the papas. That's also a joke about music there for those of us that are old enough to get that reference.
Oh my God, it's so nice to be on this podcast. It's an honor. And you're I can't believe how amazing you are at hosting it already. I'm so excited. I had the opportunity to meet Katie in New York City at the beginning of last year, where we started our CoActive coaching journey and fundamentals. And I'm so thrilled to be invited. And asked these questions. So
I love that I got to meet you before the pandemic started, and you've inspired me to like jump back in and take the classes online because I wasn't sure like during the pandemic what to do. So it's always great to have another coach in your corner, and it's been just a joy getting to know you. And I love that you've traveled so much. Tell us about what that is for us in America that don't get a chance to travel or probably won't be allowed in other countries for a while. What perspectives do you have as a result of going to school in different countries, learning from different cultures?
well, I mean, so I was lucky enough to be able to travel a lot and move. I'm from a very multicultural like household. So my mom is South American, my dad's Bahamian, but also Austrian. So they kind of wanted us to see where they were from. I also grew up in the Bahamas, which is a tiny place. So like it's very, it's a very small country. So when you're a kid, like you need to get out to get exposed a little bit. So it's been amazing. I mean, it's been amazing. And I don't know. Each place teaches you so many different things, and also how to adapt, how to um, learn really, and also never like never it keeps you humble always, because like there's always another place where you're really not in the clique. You're not that cool. You're a bit awkward, and so it keeps you always like, well, I'm not the king of my pond, or like, like
I
this
love that you had to travel to experience that. You just described years K through 12 for me.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, you can experience it in different ways. I had to experience it just moving, and which is awesome. But my true love is the Bahamas, but having left and been gone a lot really made me appreciate like wanting to be here, and yeah, and it's brought me now to kind of, what's interesting is when we met, I had gone to New York to start the life coaching, and it was like, well, my excuse was to do it remotely. So like my idea was to be able to go to New York City so that I could like date people and get life coaching because I was single as a Pringle, and then the pandemic hit, and so we did it all virtually anyways. But the journey ended that I got to back together with the love of my life, and he lives on a boat. So it's a happy ending to the story. So, but yeah, initially the travel to New York was had a double motivation, right? And it's funny how like fate and pandemic makes you make other plans. So it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, my initial plan was to go to different places in the United States to take my certification classes because
Right.
they're all over. And my initial plan was also looking at the leadership program and doing it in Spain and how cool that would be. And then the pandemic hit. But at the weekend that I met you was the weekend that I told someone there that I'm like, I think I'm falling in love with this guy. Like, I think I'm in love with this man. And a week later, he asked me to move in with him. I mean, we didn't until September because we just started dating for like a week. But I guess he also felt that too. It's crazy.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
The journey that happens as when you are receiving coaching, when you sort of take this mindset of you want to learn, you want to grow. I hired a coach in February as well because I knew I wanted to do certification. What has been your experience, not only as coaching others, but going through certification?
Yeah. For me, the whole year was incredible because so as soon as I started the coaching, I hired a coach who's amazing that we should maybe, I don't know if you can tag people, Helen Yang Min. She is a coach out of Vancouver. And she's just been incredible with me and coached me through basically the pandemic, transitioning out of family business to relationship, like rekindling a relationship, to moving on a boat, to like figuring out my next step. And yeah, so it's just like it's been amazing to have that company, and also just the exercises and and the introspection you have to do through the coaching certification at CoActive is amazing. So you really start listening to yourself. You really start just putting the boundaries that you lack if you need them, and adjusting. I don't think anybody's life is always like my life wasn't a disaster then, right? But it's just like there's little tweaks that you need to make that are still like holding you back, right? And just always like itching at you, and like coaching allows that, allows you to be able to touch upon those things and make the changes, like, and hold you accountable for them. So the journey is I recommend it for anyone. And the fact that like it's such a creative thing, right? And especially like I see you now doing the podcast with your women leaders coaching, like it really shows you how you can just add it to so many different levels of your life, right? So and I don't know, it's awesome. I think everything is coaching. Coaching is everything.
Yeah, coaching is everything. I love that. My favorite part of coaching is my favorite part of being a teacher, which is how much I get to learn from my students, or in this case, our clients. I find that what clients are going through is so many people in this world are going through. And as they're creative and resourcefully coming up with new perspectives and shifts, I am also impacted by that as well. It's what I loved about teaching high school kids. They're brilliant kids. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're a little impulsive, but kids are so creative and resourceful. They haven't been thrown out into the world and been rejected for their creativity and resourcefulness yet. What is your favorite part about getting to coach others?
I just love everything about it. I love one of the things is that you get out of your head, and you're fully with someone and for someone instead of for yourself, right? So like I feel like it's a very it's an action that's gratifying in itself, just to be there for somebody else, right? I learned so much from my clients of like behavior, things stuck. It's like a 360-degree learning cycle. It's like you're learning while you're teaching somebody something, right? And so, and I just enjoy that one-on-one connection and actually seeing people like get through things.
It's really fun to witness someone on their
their
journey.
fears, man. It's like amazing. Like I have a client who was just a star this year. Like, literally, like, those people who, well, she just did everything that we set out to do. It was like insane, and not always in the exact timing, but it was like the next session would come and it was just like, okay, I made this change. I did this, like, and now like she was like an artist. She's going to become a nurse. Like all that, it's like really cool to see. And yeah, her relationship came back into her life, like just stuff that we talked about, and she just did it. It was like inspiring.
And speaking of just doing it and inspiring, so you were headed on a voyage, which I am so inspired by. I want to do this thing, and you're going to give us the privilege of getting to follow you on the journey. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned to get all this wisdom for your new book.
Yeah, so my lovely boyfriend was a yacht captain, and he has been in the Bahamas for the last 4 years, and he actually built this boat that we're going to be going. So he didn't build the hull, but he did the entire refurbishment and reconstruction by himself. So I'm lucky enough to be able to be on board and live with him, and we're gonna go together through the islands of the Bahamas, and I'm gonna be doing interviews for my second book, which is called Bahama Papa. And I will be seeing the male version of, so like making the male version of Portraits in Wisdom, or from the fathers or the dads of the Bahamas. So the men's story, which is a little bit different from the women's perspective. So I'm really excited to do that. Like, it's going to be an amazing journey. We have to help sail, which is a whole new element to the journey, right? So I'm going to be photographing, interviewing, and we're going to help sail. So I'm going to be starting a blog, kind of just talking about the journey and tying it with how life coaching can contribute to the dream, sort of like, and creating your realities, and also just like taking advantage of the opportunities that present themselves, and yeah. So
what a cool journey. So where are you going to go? Like, just walk me through so I can visualize. I'm on a boat. Where are you now?
Okay, so I'm in the middle of the Exumas, which is an archipelago in the middle of the Bahamas, which is like it's almost like one of the wonders of the world. It's the most beautiful 160 islands and keys. They're like small islands. There are a lot of private islands, and it's close to this place called Staniel Key, where there's like some swimming pigs that are famous.
Everybody knows about the swimming pigs.
Yeah, so I live like 10 minutes away from the swimming pigs, and we're now going to go down to the south of the Exumas, which is Georgetown, Exuma. That is where we'll meet my parents, my boyfriend. My boyfriend will meet them spend some time for the first time. So that'll be really fun. And then we're going to go to Long Island, which is another island close by, and then to Eleuthera, which is in the north. And there's some places called Harbor Island, Spanish Wells, and they're all like different settlements and islands, and then we'll come back. But it's going to take its time. We'll be gone for about a month.
A month at sea. I love that.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, a little known fact, I really wanted a nickname, and I wanted to become captain of the tennis team so that people could call me Cappy. So
really,
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, you could see why I talked about K through 12 being a really hard time for me.
Oh God.
I wanted a nickname, and I wanted to be called Cappy. So maybe while you're out there, you guys could have cute little captain nicknames for each other. Just throwing out ideas.
I love the idea. I'm just gonna start calling my boyfriend Cappy now.
What kind of wisdom did you learn the first time that you wrote the book? I'm so intrigued. I love hearing what women. That's why I have this podcast. What wisdom do you have, and what have you learned?
Yeah, I feel like the podcast and the book are very related, because your owl wisdom is the use of the word wisdom is different from like get your goals done. Like the wisdom is much deeper and much more from experience and going through things, right? So the book was incredible. I mean, I got to meet I interviewed over 100 different women from the islands. And the wisdom is just like, I think the main conclusions were, family is the most important. Like making that your priority, like, faith was a huge thing. Like, Bahamian women are very, very religious. But not just, I mean, they're very religious in the Christian sense, but they're very like, they don't put themselves first, whether or not you believe in God or not. Like it's all about service rather than themselves, right? So like they're all about like serving the Lord, or like serving something outside of themselves. So they have this incredible like way of seeing life. Like whatever comes, they are in service for it, right? So, and whatever comes is in service for them. So it's an interesting perspective, because it's like there's very little fear. Like they just like go through life very like without fear. They know whatever comes is meant for them somehow, right? So it's an interesting perspective. And then, I mean, the sense of humor is probably one of the best things about the Bahamas. So,
I
like,
feel like I was meant to live there. I love these
ah!
things already. Sense of humor, whatever comes my way is for me. Like, and I will create with it. Like, this is how I live my life. I was born to be on an island, not
Well,
in
I
the
think you should
Midwest.
definitely come and visit. You'd love it. You'd love it.
Tell me
No, I
about
mean,
your humor.
oh, I mean, the best sense of humor. Everything is like, it's always like there's always like a double meaning or like a joke or, sorry, I don't even know how to describe what the humor is. It's like, they're always ready to have a good laugh and sit under, like, sit in the shade and talk, like, we call it talk shit, like,
I mean,
just
have you
whatever,
seen my
like,
skin? I got to sit in the shade too. My
yeah.
gosh, I'll burn. I love these.
No, it's so funny. Like, the humor is just is amazing. It's always ready for a joke, and if you're kind and make a joke, they're ready to laugh. Like, and that's what's kept, like, um Bahamian history. There's been a lot of oppression, and they come from a history of slavery, but the Bahamas is much more. I mean, the Bahamas has been independent much longer than most other colonial countries. So, like, people are just, I don't know how to say it. Like, they're very forward thinking and, like, just, like, joyful, like, and grateful. So, I don't know. They're the salt of the earth. So I definitely recommend people to come to the Bahamas. I'm also like
I have this aversion to the term salt of the earth now because of what's happening in America. And we're always like, oh, those are the salt of the earth people. I'm like, that guy with the Confederate flag, that's the salt of the earth.
yeah. Well,
So that's like my connotation with that. It's my perspective shift will change. I have to come now and meet them.
yeah, you would love, I mean, you'd love it. It's really fun, and the people are awesome.
And it sounds they're very humble at that faith, to have such a strong faith and to know that whatever is coming their way is for them and they will create with it. What an amazing way to live.
Yeah, and so basically the women I interviewed were all above 60, so they're from a generation that's also very different to the generation now.
Mm.
And it's a, like, there's Black women, white women. There's a mix of races, and but all Bahamian born, and also some. So the way kind of the Bahamas worked was there was a lot of loyalists from England, um, and many immigrants. So there's like a melting pot of people, right? And but all of them live these out island lives, which there's 700 islands and keys in the Bahamas, and there's about 20 island constituency, like, big islands that, like, are the main ones, and they literally live catching fish. They lived, not anymore, right? There would be a boat that would come once a month. Sometimes there would be no electricity for weeks, like, and this in the generation very close, and all the women were affected, and, like, around in the 60s, by the American contract, where the Bahamas had a contract with the States, and many of the men left like, almost like, so, I think like 30% of the men left the islands to go work in the States for about 3 or 4 years. And so the women were left to do everything, like cook, raise the kids, clean, school, educate, do everything. So, like, they're like badasses, right? They're just like, they don't mess around, and, like, they're like the backbone of the country. So that's why the first book was concentrated on them, because, like, you can stand up to any sort of big Bahamian successful man, and, like, what his mummy or his Grammy says, like, is word, right? So that's what's cool about it.
What wisdom do you think that the newer generation there needs to take and start applying to their life from this previous generation?
Resourcefulness, I think, is the key word from all of it. I think The generation now, I feel, is very much wants progress, and wants like technology, and wants like, you know, like great education, and so there's so much progress happening. But I do feel that, like, and this is in the States as well, they have so much more than what the previous generation had, that they can't even stop to use it, and they can't even stop to like clean up their space. And this is something that happens even to me. And like, I'm a what am I, millennial. I'm a millennial. Like we're all accustomed to so much abundance, right? And even the new generation now, that like you throw stuff away, you don't know how to fix anything, you hardly know how to cook, you know, like, and whereas the previous generation, they knew how to do everything. They knew how to, you know, they knew how to do everything, like make a fire, fix something, like paint, fix, like it's all the stuff that you don't need money to do. You just need the skills, right? So we're all focused on the new generation of Bahamians are very focused on the money, and they don't know how to farm anymore. Whereas their previous grandparents were incredible farmers and were totally sustainable. So these things are what kind of came up a lot, and I do feel that everybody was very peaceful. There was not so much violence. It's something that kept on coming up in the interviews a lot. Like people helped each other through and through all the time. Like you had like, if you killed a goat, like everybody ate on the block. It's not like you kept your meat and stored it in the freezer and didn't invite anyone, you know? So it's a lot.
That's a great wisdom, resourcefulness. And now you're using your hands. You're a captain of a boat now. You're cleaning, you're doing all the things. I love that you're getting connected to your own resourcefulness and sailing around to find out what the men have to say. Have you interviewed any men yet?
Yes, I have. I've interviewed quite a few.
Any wisdom nuggets there that are different that you want to share?
I mean, I've interviewed quite a lot of different interesting characters. Two interesting ones were, well, actually, this is more of an amazing story, but one of them was an amazing musician, and he actually has his own death certificate. He came back from the dead. And if that's not an inspirational story, I don't know what else is. He literally, this is like.
Would you say he's the Grateful Dead? I'm sorry, I had to.
Oh, you had to. No, this man is incredible. I mean, he basically had had a really hard night drinking, and fell off a dock, and was in the water for hours, unconscious. They found him, declared him dead, had his death certificate. He was put in the plane to send back to the mainland, which is Nassau, and he opened the body bag with his hand in the plane.
So what wisdom does he have after dying?
I mean, he's just like,
now.
Go for it. I don't know what it was, but the story is insane. It was just like, just keep living.
Just keep living.
Just keep doing. You'll make it. You'll make it out somehow.
Every human has an amazing story to share after they've lived some years. And some of them don't have to live as many years to have great stories. It's my favorite part of having a podcast. So I imagine that you get to hear quite a bit that you're able to learn along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to follow your journey. Where can people follow you, find you, subscribe to you? Because you are an amazing coach. You are an incredible author. And now you're about to have a journey that you're going to write, photograph, and share with the world.
So right now, my main spot is Sofia Whitehead Photography on Instagram. So it's Sofia with an F, Whitehead Photography. And you can find my journey and my stories through that. So like the main hub is the visual, which is the photographs, and you'll probably see interviews and a little bit about the journey through it all. Then once I have better internet stuff, more online vlog stuff. I mean, all that stuff just is so tedious for me. I think Instagram's the simplest.
The great part is that by the time this episode airs, I will have received from you wherever people can follow you, and I'll make sure that it's posted. So people will be able to find you and follow your story. Awesome. Before we wrap up today, I have 3 questions that I always ask. You haven't prepared them. Don't worry. It's not a test. You don't have to, there's no pass fail. The first question is, what's your superpower?
That's such a good question. I think it's adaptability. So yeah, like ability to be in different environments and not try to control them, and like sort of be able to be comfortable or happy in different environments.
I love that superpower. What's your purpose?
That's a good one. Damn, Katie. I went to a year of life coaching just for this moment.
You asked me some really powerful questions before we hit record. It's my turn.
Okay. I guess I've always kind of been sort of good at like not being embarrassed. So like, let's say on stage or something. So, or I don't know, like saying a speech or something, like so it's sort of like, my purpose is to like live the dream, to give other people permission to do it themselves. So like kind of like do what I can with what I have, and by doing it, give other people permission to do it for themselves. Is that okay?
What did I say? I said this isn't a test. There's no right or wrong answer.
Is that all right? I don't know if that, for now, that's my purpose.
A lot of people don't know what their purpose is. So knowing what your purpose is, and you're living it. So that's what's so beautiful, to ask someone what their purpose is. If you were to tell me something that you're not currently doing, I would be confused. You are absolutely living the dream and making it possible for people like myself, which we just talked before we hit record, to also go after their own dreams. What an incredible purpose to have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last question, the easiest one. What's next?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, what's very next is boyfriend meeting parents. So I'm really excited for that finally to happen. It's been a long journey. It's been a lot of barriers we had to break for that. And so I'm really, really grateful and excited for that to happen. And yeah, what's next is book launch. Well, more than that, a lot of book work, and really just enjoying 2021 in a productive way. Like just keeping focus on the things I love, and that being people and project, and yeah, and hoping that those are going to be well received and enjoyed by others.
Amazing. I can't wait to see what's next after that for you. I can't wait to follow your journey in 2021. It's been a pleasure to get to know you from afar in 2020. We didn't talk about this, but you went into 2020 as a gym owner. You have right? I mean, not a great time, and not a great time to be a gym owner. Your gym in there is still shut down, yes?
No, it reopened, but I resigned.
You resigned. Yeah. And so if you're a gym owner listening or in the fitness industry and wondering, like, what do I do? I know I was grateful that I had sold my gym pre-pandemic. But you are living the dream. You saw and when I first met you, that was your goal. So the universe kind of gave you a push, which I think is pretty incredible. Yeah. I'm going to give you the last words today before we go. What wisdom do you have that you want to leave our audience with?
So far, it's like, I guess just like I think it pays off to really get real with yourself. And if there are areas in your life that you really don't want, that are making you unhappy, like just confront them, and start working on them. Like whether that's fitness, a relationship with your mom, like any area, like don't be afraid. Like wherever you put your energy and effort, like it's gonna pay off somehow. Like, yeah, I think that's sort of my, don't be afraid to go confront it, because it's gonna be worth it. We're all gonna die in the end. There's no time for so much suffering and hang-ups and stuff. Like you got to really, we're here for a little while, you know, like, and we have to make the best of it, you know. So if there are areas where you're just like, your life sucks, just go and deal with it. It will pay off.
And if you can't deal with it, there's people that want to help you move forward, like Sofia.
Yeah, exactly. Or Katie. So yes, I think that's the takeaway sort of like of it, you know.
Thank you so much for joining us from a boat. My first podcast interview.
Yay! Thank you so much, Katie. It's been awesome. I feel so happy and like pumped for this year, just starting with you. So
I love that. Ditto.
What a gift. Yeah, what a gift.
I got coaching from you right before this. What a gift for me.